Good morning. The time is 8:07. It is Monday, January the 12th of 2026. Not a bad start here in downtown Wausau. Fair skies, temperature of 21 degrees. I am Chad Holmes. It is the Chad Holmes Show here on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO on the Civic Media app, and you can also catch us on YouTube. If you go to youtube.com and the 98.9 WXCO channel, you can catch the show there as well. And again, just in case you are new to what we are doing here in the past week or so, starting last Tuesday and continuing for the foreseeable future, we are live on 98.9 WXCO here in the 8 o'clock hour from 8 until 9 a.m. Then from 9 until 10 a.m., we will be exclusively on YouTube and online. From 9:06 until 10 o'clock, you'll be able to continue to see us and hear us on youtube.com and the 98.9 WXCO channel. And you can also catch us on WXCO.FM and on the Civic Media app, 98.9 WXCO, part of the app, by going to the Sports 2 stream. So again, 8 till 9 a.m., right here on 98.9 WXCO and online between 9 and 10 o'clock, then just on YouTube and also online. And, of course, the entirety of our 2 hours will then be put up as a podcast to be listened to at your convenience. So hopefully you'll be able to join us. Again, our phone lines are open at 715-814-9330. That's 715-814-9330. Plenty on the plate here for this program. Coming up a little bit later on in this hour, we will be talking to the director and also to cast members of the River and Woods Theater production of Calendar Girls that will be hitting the stage for performances on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So that will be coming up a little bit later on in this hour. Also coming up, we will touch on the aftermath of the Packers' collapse against the Chicago Bears on Saturday night.
That was tough to watch.
Yep, so we'll talk about that coming up. And also this morning, I want to talk a bit more about what happened in Minneapolis last week. Also, I want to talk a little bit about the reaction to those on to that event by those on the right, because here in this community and elsewhere, the reaction of those, especially on the right-wing airwaves, is significant. Here in the Wausau area, you have a radio station that is a far-right conservative radio station that is hosted in the mornings by a far-right conservative host. And he has made some commentaries about this event that he says is being put into the proper context. He talks about context when it comes to the shooting that occurred in Minneapolis last week. And I have not responded as much recently to what this radio host has been saying, but I do think it's important because so often, and if you listen to shows throughout the day here on this radio station and on the Civic Media Radio Network, or you see comments on either Facebook or YouTube or anywhere else,
yeah,
you see a lot of these right-wing talking points parroted out by listeners because they heard their favorite host say this. So then they will pass them along in this game of telephone. And I do think it's important to respond in order to put, as I would say, the comments of this gentleman in the proper context as well. So he says he's put it into context. I don't believe so. And I do think it's important to talk about that. And we're going to have a lot of talk about that in hour number 2, and I'm going to talk about it here in just a few moments as well. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of our program here this morning, let's say hello and good morning to our in-studio engineer, Ian Walsh.
Good morning, Chad.
How was the weekend?
Well, in spite of the Packers losing to the Bears, it was a pretty nice weekend. Temperatures weren't too bad. Got to take it easy. I spent time with the family, and I had to make sure I look out. I was watching out for my dad this weekend because when it comes to football, he gets, no offense, Dad, I'm sorry if you're listening to this, but a little intense, and I think he had a little bit of a crash out on Sunday. Like he didn't have a lot of energy, and just the Packers losing kind of took all that energy out of him, which, I understand his pain because my family and I were watching most of the game on Saturday. In the first half, we were excited and really getting into it and watching the Bears fans because they went from energetic to monotone on the first 2 quarters. And then halftime came around, and I don't know what happened to the Packers team when they went into the locker room, but they were not the same team in the second half that they were in the first half. It was definitely, mistakes were made. They gave the Bears more room than they needed, and just they let it slip away.
All right, we'll talk more about that later on. And yes, people get very much into the Pack. But frankly, for today, I want to start with, I think, what I consider more important stuff. Because, yes, I know that for many people that is the most important part. No, but I just, sometimes I think about that, and I know that people, and it's important to get away, and I know, but at the same time, when I see the walls of our democracy crumbling, sometimes I get a little annoyed with people that live and die with the Packers all the time.
Yeah.
I used to be that way, and I'm not that
is
way
a good
anymore.
Point.
No, and we all need to be able to have our release valves and to be able to have the things that we enjoy. But at the same time, I just, there are times that it's like, frankly, I wish there were documentaries that got the same viewership that football games get. The idea that football games are by far the most popular television programs in the world now, and maybe it's that people want to get away from it all. I understand that sometimes you just don't want to be able to hear about the news and information and the politics of it all on
we
a
have
constant
to hear about
basis.
it because it's important.
But at the same time, I knew that people don't want to get away with it, but away from it. But at the same time, the idea that when you look at the top 50 television programs, when it comes to at the end of every TV season, they almost are exclusively football games. And it's like, I just think that maybe we should be able to focus a little bit more on maybe information and becoming more well-rounded, knowledgeable citizens when it comes to the issues that we are dealing with on a daily basis. And again, I completely understand the idea of being a well-rounded individual, but sometimes it just feels like it's all about that being the most important thing. When I don't think it is the most important thing. But again, I'm probably in the minority on that. So
no, you make some excellent points.
No, it truly is that way. And of course, now we will have to wait and see if there's any major changes when it comes to the Green Bay Packers. When it perhaps there is talk about perhaps a coaching change and other changes as well. So we're going to talk about that later in the program and try to figure out what the next steps are for Green Bay.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk a lot, especially in the second hour as well, about the perspective aspect that Mr. Conley I'm sorry. I don't want to use the name. I just don't want to. But
The man
well,
down the road?
well, yes, the conservative talker in the morning show on another radio station here in central Wisconsin. But basically, in the aftermath, of the immediate aftermath, and one of the things that I found frustrating when it came to the immediate aftermath is how people in the administration, before they obviously knew all the details of what happened, were already out there calling the victim, Renee Nicole Good, basically a terrorist, when that was not the case at all.
No.
But let's, for argument's sake, again, this is just argument's sake, say that after investigation, that came out. Then that's one thing. But for people like Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, or Donald Trump, the President of the United States, to say all that before they knew anything, that's wrong. That's unfair. And then, of course, their allies in the media start to parrot those ideas as well.
Right.
And the morning host of the conservative radio station down the road has been talking about it and writing about it and talking about context. And we're going to delve into the context as we continue. But his sense of context, in my opinion, is completely off the rails. And he said something that actually made sense to start it off. He said, you can't understand a news story without context. He says events don't make sense unless you know what led up to them. I agree with that. But then you go off and just basically try to put in the blank areas of the story with what you want it to be, then it's not context. Because he says that the anti-ICE crowd, basically, that is saying that this ICE agent shot and killed a woman in cold blood falls apart if you use context. I'm going to delve into this, but I'm not going to start right now. We have to take a quick timeout because we do have a break coming up, and then we will come back and delve a little bit into this because I do think it's important. I do think that context is important. I do think that trying to get at the truth is vitally important. And I think that one of the main problems we are having in our politics and in our society recently is the fact that so much of what we are hearing is, simply put, not the truth. And I do think that we need to delve into context, need to delve into exactly what happened, because that's the only way you do get to the truth. And we're going to do that coming up in just a couple of moments.
Right.
Again, coming up a little later in the program, we are going to have an opportunity to learn more about this weekend's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday performances of Calendar Girls from the River and Woods Theater Company. And, of course, you are welcome to be part of the program as well. Our phone lines are open at 715-814-9330. 715-814-9330. That is all coming up as we continue here on this Monday morning Chad Holmes Show on 98.9 WXCO.
Got me as if you're in the dance. It's like the feeling at the end of the page when you realize you don't know what you just read. What the words for? When no one listens anymore. What the words for? When no one listens. What the words for? When no one. Time. See what's become of me.
Chad Holmes Show, 98.9 WXCO, WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO. And on the Civic Media app, the time is 8:23. Currently in downtown Wausau, fair skies, temperature of 21 degrees. Let's talk about context involving the killing of Renee Nicole Good last week in Minneapolis, because I do think the discussion is important, and I do think that I'm not saying that my perspective is the correct one all the time, and I'm not saying that the folks down the street in the conservative talk world are wrong each and every time, but I certainly think they are wrong in this case when you want to talk about context and perspective. And in this commentary from the morning show host from the conservative radio station down the road, a couple of things where he calls context, which I call not really 100% truthful, or not even 5% truthful. The talk was that he says that when he says context, he says that she was part of a group of protesters who were using their vehicles to try and block an ICE raid. All right, let's for a moment say that there was a group of protesters and that Good was one of those protesters that were blocking an ICE raid. Is that enough for an ICE officer, masked as always, to go around and shoot multiple times this woman in the head? I don't believe so. Okay, that's one piece of context right there.
Okay.
Then he talks about the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, talking about that the governor said that she was out on the streets protecting her neighbors. Then he says that is a lie. How does he know that is a lie? Number one, because
He wasn't there.
because the idea that folks in that neighborhood would not be out there protecting their neighbors is such a foreign concept to him. I
Jeez.
know that they don't believe in a community for all because it's only a community for people that think like themselves, but there
Mhm.
may be communities out there that actually care about their neighbors. And
Yeah.
also, part of the idea that this is so foreign to him, that the idea that somebody could be out there trying to protect your neighbors. This is the same guy that every Friday talks about faith and talks about
Mhm.
God and talks about religion. And the idea that I think if we've heard stories over the years, many, many years, of churches being used as sanctuary for people
Yeah.
that were being chased by law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Does this gentleman think that anytime that a priest or a reverend or a man of the cloth gives sanctuary to somebody that they're not protecting their neighbors or protecting other human beings? Then he says her car didn't happen to get in the way. She was there on purpose. One ICE agent ordered her to get out in the middle of the road. And then he says her car sped forward towards an agent. You want to talk about a lie? We saw the
Jeez.
video. That is a lie right there. Right there. He is trying to use a lie in order to give cover to this ICE agent shooting this woman.
There's a video evidence.
Exactly.
People, were seeing
He walked around that vehicle and shot her.
people have this on their phones. I saw this on the NBC News a couple nights ago. People had their phones. They filmed the whole thing, and they were calling them out on this as soon as it happened.
The right-wing host of the morning show across the way says that the mayor, Jacob Fry, showed off his fancy vocabulary at a news conference, disputes the agent, fired in self-defense. Then he says anyone who is intellectually honest cannot agree with him. I
Intellectually honest.
disagree with that statement.
My gosh.
He says using vehicles to block, encircle, or ram ICE agents is a regularity when protesters try to disrupt enforcement operations.
Yeah. right.
Well, okay, let's for argument's sake say that happened. Does that mean that a masked man can walk around and shoot a woman 3 times and kill her?
Hmm.
That is proper response to that. And then he starts to use something that's completely outside this story,
Oh,
talking
jeez.
about the issues involving what he calls inexcusable fraud and corruption. Somehow that allows ICE to come in there and do anything they want to. He calls Governor Walz a clown. I mean, again, the reason I bring this up is because many people in our community hear this gentleman talk about this in this way each and every day.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, the idea that a masked man would shoot a woman, one piece of context, and actually two pieces of context, which I'm going to talk more about in the second hour in our online segments, and I
Yep.
hope you stick with us. Two pieces that he does not mention. Number one, he doesn't mention the context of the two words that came out of the mouth of this ICE agent after he shot and killed this woman. And I can't say those two words because they would get us in trouble with the FCC.
Yeah.
But I think many people know exactly the two words I'm talking about here. And also, when somebody who has a record of being arrested multiple times for domestic violence against a woman, it makes me wonder what the perspective there is and the context there is that comes from that person. That's another piece of context I think that should be brought up as well.
Definitely something we need to talk about more.
So we're going to talk more about that coming up in our online hour between 9 and 10 o'clock. So hopefully I would love for you
Make
to
sure
be
you stay
involved in
tuned.
that. And we'll talk about that starting at 9:06. But coming up next, we are going to talk about Calendar Girls from the
Yes.
River and Woods Theater. We're going to brighten things up here on this Monday morning. And we'll do that coming up after an information update here on 98.9 WXCO. And welcome back. It is the WXC. No, it's not. It's actually the Chad Holmes Show. I'm still going back into my old titling, and as you get older, your mind just has these big holes in them. No, it is Monday morning, the 12th day of January. 8:35 is the time. Chad Holmes Show here on 98.9 WXCO. Ian Welsh across the way as always. And, of course, if you want to be part of the program, 715-814-9330. And coming up this weekend on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday over at the Wausau East High School Auditorium, the River and Woods Theater Company will present Calendar Girls. And we're very happy to talk about the show as we are joined by Katie Kloth, who is the director of the production, and Sarah Marie Brock, who is a member of the cast. And ladies, thank you for popping on in.
Thank you for letting us.
Yes.
Well, Katie, let's start off with you, the director. I'm going to open it up with the most general question. Tell us, what is Calendar Girls?
Calendar Girls is a show about women coming together in a time of hardship and leaning on their community that they have formed. And it is a story that will make you laugh, it will make you cry, but altogether it just highlights the importance of your community.
Is this a show that's set in the present?
Yes, it is.
It's always interesting to find out whether or not a show is set now or in the past as well. How many folks are involved in the show?
There are 14 cast members, and then we have a production team of around 10 people.
Sarah, what's your role?
So my role is Celia. I am one of the 6 calendar girls. We all belong to a group called the Women's Institute, or the WI, which has elicited a number of jokes during rehearsals because it just says WI in the script, and people keep saying Wisconsin.
Oh, jeez.
But no, I am Celia. She is one of the women in the group. She's Katie referred to her as a fashionista, which I think is accurate. She is feisty. She's sassy. She is, I think, comes across as tough, but deep down really just loves the women she works with and spends time with and wants to support them. I enjoy her a lot. She's goofy, she's sassy, she's very body positive, which has been an adventure for me. But she's a great role.
Katie, by the title, says Calendar Girls, but there are some men in the cast as well, aren't there?
Yes, there are. We have 4 guys in the cast. We have 2 of them that are the husbands of 2 of the Women's Institute members, and then a photographer that comes in to take the calendar photos, and then a shoot director of a commercial.
Shows always have the tipping point, the drama point, even within a comedy. What is the sense? What is this group of women trying to accomplish in this show? What is the thing that is the bit of drama within the production?
So they are trying to raise money for a settee in the Skipton General Cancer Ward for a memorial settee for John Clark, one of the Women's Institute members' husbands who passes away from leukemia. And they decide to do a boudoir calendar to raise money because they feel it will raise more money than their normal calendars of bridges and churches and stuff like that.
Graveyards.
Graveyards.
Talk about the process here, because I'm always interested when I get folks in from the theater, because how long has the process been for this show? How long has the rehearsals been to get ready for this weekend?
Yeah, so the rehearsals started in November, or was
That sounds
it
about early December.
early December?
I think
Something
it was just
like
after
that.
Thanksgiving, right around
Yeah,
there.
it was. It was November, and we have been rehearsing about 3 times a week, and it's been interesting with the holidays just because we've had to jumble rehearsals.
Sure.
But I have been working on this show since late August, early September. That's when I got the script in my hands and I started doing all of my script work that I like to do as a director and that kind of stuff.
Sarah, what's been the biggest challenge within your role? I know you've done this previously.
I've done it a couple times previously.
Yeah, and every show has a different challenge. What's been the challenge for this character and trying to get it right for this weekend?
So I think big picture first, that the challenge to this show has been it's a larger ensemble cast than a number of the ones I've worked on. And so there's finding that balance with 14 people kind of coming in and off and the different personalities. And our rehearsal space is not a whole lot larger than the room we're in right now. So when you add in set pieces and everything else, it's balancing the space and the time and personalities. I think for me with Celia in general, she comes from a place of just such extreme self-knowledge and body positivity. And she comes to that place because of some things that she's experienced in her life that will come out during the show. And so getting into that place was interesting. And leaning into just the ensemble piece. Katie mentioned obviously the drama of the calendar itself, and there's also a great deal of what I would call a drama arc within the relationship of the 2 main characters, which is incredibly important. They come in being incredibly close friends, and they go through quite a journey during the show. And so being one of the supporting cast members and figuring out how to support both of them in their roles, and helping to make sure that what you're doing doesn't take the spotlight off of that, but instead helps to really illuminate. I mean, at the end of the day, the show really is about relationships and about coming together. And that is so important that you want to make sure that stays the focus. And also within our cast, and Katie and I were actually just talking about this, we have an incredible range of experience.
I was actually going to mention that because anybody who looked at your Facebook page or any information and looks at the cast members, I think there is definitely a number of the faces and the names that anybody that goes to shows here in Central Wisconsin has seen before. But there's also, as you've said, that there's a few folks that we have not seen before.
Which has been wonderful.
Yeah.
And not only a range of experience with acting and theater in general, including some first-timers and some first in 60 years.
Yeah.
But also a beautiful range of ages in terms of life experience that they bring, which is really unique and reflective of the story itself, which, if people don't know, is based on a true story.
Yes, it is.
And Katie, in terms of being the director, and was this something that you brought to the group to direct, or was it something that you said, I just want to direct it? Because when you get into, as you said, you delve into it, you really dig into trying to get that whole vision for a show. What drew you to the show? And was it something that you brought, or was it something that was decided by the group?
It was something that was decided by the board, and they were trying to find a director for it. And they reached out to me because they knew that I had an interest in directing. And I was like, I have to read the script first before I commit to anything. And I read it, and it was the second play that I have read that has made me cry, and it immediately jumped into my top 3 favorite plays. And as soon as that happened, I went, I need to direct this thing. And it's just because all the characters that are in this show are fully developed individuals. There isn't anything that's like, oh, this character is just here to serve this plot point. They all have stories. They all have things that they have gone through and been through. And well, Sarah mentioned that, yes, there are 2 of the Women's Institute members that their story is highlighted more. Everyone in this show, out of the 6 main women, has a monologue that they have that really tells their story, and they're all so truthful and filled with so much heart, and it's just such a beautifully written play that I immediately was like, I have to do this.
With a description like that, I got to ask you, Sarah, to add to it. I mean, is that how you feel? I mean, because it sounds like an emotional experience as much as a technical experience in terms of trying to perform.
I think we have cried at almost every full rehearsal, and it's only gotten worse.
Yeah, it has.
I mean, not only do we have, and Katie alluded to it, so it's not a spoiler, not only do we have the death of one of the characters fairly early on, which kind of gives us the impetus to move towards the calendar, but we also just have each one of these characters, especially the 6 women, digging into who they are and why they are, who they are, and how they got to that point, and dealing with family struggles and relationship and marriage and friendship and these things that we really do go through in life, especially as adult women. And to see that on stage and to see the interaction and to watch the different catharses and communication, it's really beautiful.
In this era, kind of broaden it. No, I mean, I think it is, and I'm not just talking about the political era. I'm also talking about the technical era, where we're in an era that so much of our lives rotate about online, and the way that we meet people is different than it used to be. The way that we meet our life partners is much different than it used to be. It sounds like this is the kind of story that shows the connection that human beings need to try to find. Would that be fair to say?
100%.
There's a great line that the photographer says when he's communicating to the women about the vision for the calendar that he has, where he's talking about how everything that they're doing, the meetings and the jam making and the parties and the knitting, everything they do when they come together in this institute is really just an excuse for them to come together and have community and be a little crazy and a little silly and bond together. And, you're absolutely right. It's a time when we turn to our phones and our computers to communicate and relate more than anything else. And there's none of that in this show.
No.
There's no discussion of computers or emails or text messages or anything like that. It's all face-to-face. It's all confronting, not in a negative way, but in a being able to talk and work through things and communicate and learn from each other. And it is really beautiful.
Yeah.
And Katie, anything to add in terms of that aspect of it, is in terms of your work as a director, in terms of trying to get that humanity out there, and I guess I could frame it in a different way in terms of the challenge that, as a director, what was the biggest challenge for you in this show to try to get, as you said, what you felt reading it translated to the stage?
So the biggest difficulty is, first and foremost, this show is a comedy. There are so many.
People may not think that when we're talking here.
That's why I was like, I should probably say that. But there are so many jokes in this show, and it's like joke after joke after joke after joke. And so having that and having the lift of the comedy so that the jokes land, but then also having, all right, well, we have some serious moments in here that we really need to highlight. So it's finding that balance of the truth of everything and the heart of everything with the comedy of everything and wanting to get the laughs, but also make people cry.
We got to take a real quick break here. We have a hard break, but I do want you to tell us about the hiatus of one of your performers, because it's a very interesting story, and then we'll get the information specifically on what the people need to know in order to see the production coming up later this week. So we'll be back with Katie Cloth and also Sarah Brock talk about Calendar Girls for a few more minutes from the River and Woods Theater Company. The time is 8:48 here on 98.9 WXCO.
Look around, the whole world's coming together now. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Feel it in the air. The wind is taking it everywhere. Yeah. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
And welcome back. Chad Holmes Show 98.9 WXCO, WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO on the Civic Media app and on YouTube at youtube.com. Again, we're talking about River and Woods Theater Company and Calendar Girls. Katie Cloth, who is the director, and Sarah Brock, who is one of the cast members. And I got to ask you each, I don't know, I think this might be a record for a Wausau stage production of any kind. You have a cast member who has not been on the stage in how many years?
63 years.
Who is this person? What is the role they're playing? Because I gotta know more about this.
Bonnie Anderson, and she plays Jessie. The last time that she was in a show was when she was in high school because her husband said that she should try out. And so she did, and now she's back after 63 years.
What's her energy like in this
Oh my
production? Because I can
gosh.
only imagine.
So Jessie she has the most incredible one-liners ever in any single script that I have ever read. The best lines ever. And it's all very dry humor, and it's her delivery of everything is so perfect because you don't think that it's going to go in the direction that a lot of her one-liners do, and you would not expect that for a retired school teacher to say those things.
I have been lucky enough to know Bonnie for a while, for a number of years, because she's was a customer at Vino when I was there. And she, as always, just as a human, she is warm and charming and sweet and smart and sassy. And I was delighted to see her at auditions. And she has stepped into this role and just embodied it. This
Yeah.
is a feisty, fabulous woman who is not taking any crap from anybody.
No.
And she has this wisdom to pass along, and she really does embody it. And she
Yeah.
has, I think, one of the most powerful monologues in the play
Yes.
from a perspective of just her wisdom and her age and her experience that she shares with all of us. Followed by one of the funniest lines in the play, which I'm
Yep.
not going to give away.
No. You have to come to it to see
Yes.
what that is.
And if you go on to our Facebook page, you'll see a picture of her, and you will see this is, I believe, I'm not giving anything away because she shared it with all of us, but she's going to be 80 coming up in May, I think she said. And man, if I am her in 30 years, Chad, my life will have been perfect.
I agree 100% with that, and it's only 25 for me. So, and I think about that all the time, to be honest with you. And that's kind of, we are very fortunate in this community to have companies like River and Woods and the community theater and very vibrant, Performing Arts Foundation, and even the high schools that have so many opportunities for people to be involved in theater. And I guess here for just a moment, I would, I'm sure both of you would encourage anybody to follow you guys on Facebook to see what the shows are coming up and to take that risk, to go out there and try out for a show and be
Yeah.
part of it and meet incredible people. I imagine that we are very fortunate in this community to have so many opportunities, right?
Yeah, 100%. If you, even for like 1 second, you've gone to see a show and you just think, that could be fun, do it. Like the first time that I was on stage was when I was in 7th grade and I auditioned because all my friends were, and I went, okay, I'm going to audition for this. And now that's what I'm going to college for, and it's become my life. And it just, well, this show is also about community. The community that we have formed in the rehearsal room it's incredible. And you know that if you need something, you can, like 10 years later, you can go to any of these people and just say, hey, like, can I get your opinion on something? Or would you be willing to help me on this? And they will probably help you if they are able to. And the only reason they probably won't is if they can't. And you just form such amazing friendships and bonds with these people. And it's just incredible.
No, absolutely. And my gap was nowhere near Bonnie's, but I had over 20 years between shows before I got back into the theater scene in Wausau, and I've been lucky enough to act now with 2 different theater groups, both this one and Wausau Community Theater, and being a part of Center Stage, which is another wonderful opportunity. That first audition is so scary when you're coming to it, especially after a while, but the people are so warm and welcoming and goofy.
Nothing wrong with being goofy.
No, goofy is the best. So yes, and if you don't have a lot of time, you can tell people, I need a smaller role, or I want to help backstage. And if you're willing to do a little bit more commitment, it's a conversation, but there's a place for everyone. There is a place for absolutely anyone who wants to in community theater.
Yes.
I've said this before. I've done thousands of games on the radio. I've done thousands of shows on the radio, but my greatest thrill is still being on stage. It was many years ago.
You could come try out.
Well, it's been almost 20 years. Unfortunately, I'm so busy at night, and it's like, but someday I am going to find it. I
Good.
really do, because it's something that is just really a thrill every time. And as you said, getting to be around really incredibly talented and friendly and just lovely people is always the best way of doing it. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, correct?
Yes.
What time each night?
7 p.m.
So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all at 7. I mean,
Yes.
should say Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, all at 7 p.m. at Wausau East. What's the best way of getting tickets?
The best way of getting tickets is at rawct.booktix.com.
I will have that link on our show notes with the podcast, so if you people want to check that out as well. And can you get them at the door at Wausau East?
Yes, I was
You
just going to
can.
say, if you're not a techie person, going back to our earlier conversation, please do know that you can pick them up at the door.
Yes, you can.
Absolutely. So go to the Wausau East in their auditorium on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Calendar Girls from the River and Woods Theater Company. So again, Katie Cloth, Sarah Brock,
Thanks,
break
Jeff.
a leg, both of you, and
Thank
thanks for
you.
coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Folks, make sure you tune in now, because for the next hour, we're just on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, go to wxco.fm and the Civic Media app, the Sports 2 stream. You can listen to us there as well. And, of course, again, the first hour, live on the radio, second hour, live online. Hey, stick with us, or else Greg Bach coming up here on WXCO. Good morning. By Robin Williams, Good Morning, Vietnam.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that scene.
Yep.
Classic.
So, good morning, Central Wisconsin. Good morning, Wausau area. I am Chad Holmes. He is Ian Welsh. It is hour number 2 of the Chad Holmes Show on 98.9 WXCO. And actually, here in hour number 2, we are exclusively online. We are available on our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com and the 98.9 WXCO channel. You can catch us as well on WXCO.FM and on the Civic Media app, the WXCO part of that, by going to the Sports 2 stream and be able to hear us there. And again, it's something that we just started last week. We're just going to spread the news about that. We're going to keep talking about it. It may sound like we're talking about it all the time, but as you know, habits are hard to either establish or break.
Absolutely.
And we're going to keep on talking about till your habit is to tune in from 8 till 9 on 98.9 WXCO, and then to immediately be able to say, hey, I got to go over to WXCO.FM or the Civic Media app Sports 2 stream or back to YouTube for the second hour of the show. And we're glad you're with us. And part of what we want to do, especially here in the second hour, we're going to leave things a little bit more open, tend to be in the second hour, to have discussions with you about what's going on by asking you to call in at 715-814-9330. That's 715-814-9330. So feel free. Ian Welsh will then pick up the phone and get you on the air, and we want to know what you're talking about, what you're thinking about and talking about, not just what I'm thinking about and talking about. So again, 715-814-9330 to join us. And again, let's welcome Ian Welsh here to the program.
Good morning,
Chad. Ian. Always fun to be able to talk about what's going on in our theater community, isn't it?
Absolutely. At the beginning of the new year, after the holidays are over, it's nice to get back into the theater spirit, especially because the winter months can be a little slow when it comes to finding things to do. And when springtime comes around, that's when you get a lot of the big, high school musicals being put on for the spring shows. But it's nice to see River and Woods Theater here getting a head start on the shows for the season of 2026, and it'll be exciting to see what other kinds of productions will be happening throughout the rest of the year with them as well.
Absolutely. And again, if you missed our discussion with Katie Cloth and also Sarah Brock, director Katie and cast member Sarah for Calendar Girls, we'll have it up as a podcast. And again, every day you can always go back and listen to the program at your convenience. If you don't have 2 complete hours in the morning where you can be with us from beginning to end, you can listen to the podcast. Number one, it is available on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. Just subscribe to WXCO News. Again, WXCO News, and our show is part of that little grouping within Spotify and the podcast world. You can also go to WXCO.FM, go to civicmedia.us, go to the WXCO shows area, and be able to find us there as well under WXCO News. So, again, that podcast will be up just after 10 o'clock this morning. Coming up here in this hour, just to let you know what to expect, we're going to talk more about Minneapolis, because I do think we have to talk more about it, because I thought there was some embarrassing appearances by Trump administration officials, including the Secretary of Homeland Security, the former governor of South Dakota. What's her name? Why is my mind freezing up? I said last hour, I said my mind freezes up. But we'll talk about, again, the comments made by conservative talkers here in this community and throughout the country, because so much of what is said gets spread around. And as I said, hey, I tip my cap to the folks down the street. They got plenty of listeners in this community. They've been
They certainly
talking
do.
conservatively for the last 25 years, and they've grown an audience, and fantastic. But I've said this before, and I'll say it again, just having the biggest audience doesn't mean you're right. It just means you have a big audience. And
true.
it reminds me of something that I heard somebody say one time. And it's a person that's a supporter of MAGA and Trump. And they said, and I heard this, said, they said, I know what he says is not true, but I really want it to be true. And it makes no sense.
Oh, good,
But in the sense, it does
good
make sense.
grief.
They just want it to be true so much that they are able to overcome the idea that Donald Trump and the others that are basically just lying to them over and over again. So we're going to talk
That's sad.
more about that coming up as well here this morning. And also we're going to talk about the Packers because, doggone it, I know for a lot of people, and we actually talked about this on Friday, that with Paul Mickling, we talked because he tells me all the time that his winter is shorter the longer the Packers are playing. So people want the Packers to play into February. And it makes their winter go by quicker because then you have something to look forward to every weekend. Well, unfortunately, the Packers looked like they were going to have another game this weekend, most of the night on Saturday, but in the end fell to the Chicago Bears 31-27. So we're going to talk about that coming up here this morning as well, here on 98.9 WXCO. Also here, I want to tell you about a guest we're going to have tomorrow in this hour because I'm very excited about this. And I know a lot of you folks out there are also going to be excited because it's not been very long that he has not been on the air here, but I'm sure that you're already missing him. And I miss him as well because I think he's a fantastic news person. He's a fantastic radio personality. He was a fantastic member of the the Wisconsin State Legislature. And, of course, he just left after about a 3-year run here on 98.9 WXCO and the Civic Media Radio Network. Well, Pat Kreitlow, of course, he's still with Up North News. You can read him and see him on upnorthnews.com. Go to his social medias. He's got live events on there as well. Well, he's going to join us tomorrow morning in our second hour. So we'll get a chance to catch up with Pat Kreitlow, see how he's enjoying not waking up in the very early moments of the mornings anymore. I think he can sleep in a little bit more since he doesn't start at 6 o'clock. But Pat Kreitlow will be with us in our second hour tomorrow. So that's our online hour. So we'll look forward to talking to him right at the top of about 9:06 tomorrow morning. And, well, hey, we got flexibility with the second hour because we don't have the hard breaks. So
That's true.
see what, and I know that Pat's been very active and he's had some very strong words concerning Minneapolis and everything else going on as well. So hopefully you can be with us and we'll actually open up the lines. And if you want to talk to Pat as well, we'll let you do that. And that's the thing, again, I want to underline that. And I know that when you're not used to calling in, it's almost like, I don't know if I want to call in. I'm not sure if I want to be the first one to call in. Please do it. We want to hear from you. We want you to be part of this conversation. We want the ideas that you bring to the table in terms of topics of discussion and also just the way that we talk about anything that is on our plate here. So, again, 715-814-9330. That's 715-814-9330 to join us. And put that on your speed dial. Put that where it's very easy for you to join us. Because, doggone it, we're friendly enough folks around here.
We certainly are.
And even if you do disagree, we can disagree while not being disagreeable.
Absolutely.
And if you think I'm wrong about what I said in the first hour concerning the commentaries of the folks over down the street, you can let me know. We can have a spirited yet respectful conversation.
Indeed.
But it does get under my skin a little bit because comments like he made where he says, well, the governor of Minnesota was lying when he said that that the victim of this tragedy, Renee Nicole Good, was not out in the streets protecting her neighbors, but was out there interfering with law enforcement. And something else, and we only have a couple moments before we have to take a timeout. Then we're going to come back and talk a little bit about the Packers and then finish up the last half hour of this show, again, going back, I think, to the Minneapolis issue. And then, of course, we will have the number for the day quiz, but that's whole thing differently. But when you say that you can't go out there and protest, that's un-American in my mind. Protesting is American. Protesting is showing that we are truly part of the rights that we earned 250 years ago. And again, I'm going to pound on this all the time. And last night I was watching one of the football games, and it says America 250 on the sidelines. It is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And that can't be just an empty celebration this year.
No.
It has to be more than just, hey, it's our 250th anniversary. It has to be going back, looking at what this country has been, could be, and is, and saying, hey, we're not just going to parrot these words that Thomas Jefferson and others put to paper 250 years ago. We're going to live them. And what this gentleman says basically is that, well, if you protest, then you deserve to get shot. That is not America. That is not what this country was founded on. So again, I'm going to get all juiced up here, but we're going to talk more about that coming up. We're going to delve into it. And again, we would love your voice to be heard at 715-814-9330. That's 715-814-9330 to have your voice be part of this program. We're going to take a 2-minute break, come back, and talk a little about the Packers, because I know a lot of people are upset about what happened. Do you change coaches now? Do you make major changes with the Green Bay Packers? That's the question. And in fact, we could hear something today, because I know that Coach Matt LaFleur said he was either going to meet last night or early today with the Packer president. The new Packer president. So we may hear something sooner rather than later. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Pack before going back to the Minneapolis story again after that. And, of course, we will see if Ian can start off his week with a correct response in our number of the day quiz to wrap things up. With Ian Welsh, I am Chad Holmes. It is the Chad Holmes Show, 98.9 WXCO. I'm Chad Holmes, join former Wausau West head hockey coach B.J. Brandt and myself every Wednesday night from 6 till 8 p.m. for the Big High School Sports Show on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO on the Civic Media app, and also broadcasting live on the 98.9 WXCO YouTube channel. Each week we'll be talking high school winter sports. We'll review and preview the basketball and hockey action with both the boys and the girls, and each week we'll also be joined by an area head coach and a student athlete guest as well. It's the Big High School Sports Show every Wednesday night from 6 till 8 p.m. on Central Wisconsin's radio home for high school sports, 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO on the Civic Media app, and broadcasting live on YouTube.com and the 98.9 WXCO channel.
So, how are the kids?
Well, Emily made the honor roll.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah, we're really proud of her. Tyler, on the other hand, though,
What's going on?
he's been moody lately, just feeling down and not like himself.
Oh, we've been there. Nick was struggling last spring. He was so anxious and stressed.
Really? What helped?
Well, he joined the soccer team, and ever since, he's been a lot happier. He has more energy, he's less stressed, and he's definitely in a better mood at home. It's made a huge difference.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad he's getting out of the house, he's getting some exercise, and he's off his phone for once. It's been good for his mental health.
Sounds like it's been good for your mental health, too.
Participating in Wisconsin high school sports improves students' physical and mental health. Encourage your son or daughter to get involved. This message presented by the WIAA and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
And welcome back. Chad Holmes Show, 98.9 WXCO. Online at WXCO.FM. Mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO and on the Civic Media app. With Ian Welsh, I am Chad Holmes. The time is 9:23. It is currently fair skies. Got a little bit of sunshine peeking through here at our studios in downtown Wausau. We are at the corner of Washington Street and North 3rd Street, currently 22 degrees. Looking at the weather for today, we expect plenty of sunshine, mostly sunny, and a high near 34 degrees. West wind 7 to 10 miles per hour, gusting as high as 18 miles per hour. Tonight, a chance of freezing rain between 1 a.m. and 5 p.m. I should say 1 a.m. and 5 a.m., and then a chance of snow after 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. Some increasing clouds tonight, a low of 24. Tuesday, a chance of freezing rain before 8 a.m., then a chance of rain, otherwise mostly cloudy, and a little bit of warmer temperatures. Temperature stands at 38 degrees tomorrow. Partly sunny Wednesday, colder, a high of 19. And Thursday, partly sunny, a slight chance of snow in the afternoon, and a high of 19 degrees. But again, right now here in downtown Wausau, 22 degrees is the temperature. Also want to let you know that tonight, I'm hitting the road for Menasha as the Newman Catholic High School girls basketball team will take on the number 1 ranked team in the state in Division IV, Menasha St. Mary Catholic. So it's a very tough test for the Cardinal girls, but we'll be in Menasha for that one, starting with the pregame show at 7 o'clock and the opening tip-off at 7:15 on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO and on the Civic Media app. Well, on Saturday night, season came to an end for the Green Bay Packers. And for much of the night, and frankly, it was almost a rerun of what happened in Chicago a few weeks earlier, where it looked like the Packers were in great shape to be able to earn a win and earn a trip to Seattle next week for the divisional playoffs. But in the end, Packers saw a major lead slip away, and they fell 31-27 to the Chicago Bears. 25 points were scored by Chicago in the second half.
Yeah.
25, not in the second half, in the fourth quarter. 25 points were scored by the Bears in the fourth quarter. And now the question is, do you move on from Matt LaFleur? Matt LaFleur has been there, and he's had a lot of success over the years. I mean, maybe not as much as Packer fans would like, but he actually ranks 11th in history in winning percentage of .654 among 113 NFL coaches with at least 100 regular season games. It's better than the win rates for 20 Hall of Fame coaches on the list. It's better than the rates of legendary Patriots coach Bill Belichick. But is it enough? Because the Packers have not been able to get to the Super Bowl under Matt LaFleur. In fact, they haven't gotten past the early rounds of the playoffs very often in recent years. And now the coach has 1 year left in his contract. Basically, the thought is, at this point, you either extend him or you let him go. Because the idea of going into a lame duck year, the final year of a contract, is really something that organizations really don't want to do. It just puts then the whole season is, will they or won't they? It's like Ed Policy, the Packers' new president, had said during the summer that he is not somebody that really wants to go into the final year of a contract with a coach or a GM. Brian Gutekunst, the GM, also would be going into his final year. So the idea is either you extend them or you let them go at this point. And now the decision is going to be made. I'm going to ask you, because you said your dad is very passionate about this. What is he saying while watching that game? Does he want the Packers to move on as the voice of the fan to a new head coach?
Well, it's honestly, he wasn't talking too much about the coaching aspect. He was just talking about the game itself. But
Don't speak for him then.
I can't really speak for him once I had the conversation for myself. If you're asking me, personally, I would just say that, maybe it would be better to let him go and just, find a new coach and try to rebuild for next season. But Yeah, it's just my opinion. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that, if the Packers haven't made it, past the second round of the playoffs or to the Super Bowl in quite a few years, I think
It's not a
it's
good
a time
point
to,
for him.
I think it's a time to just reevaluate the whole, where does the team stand about this? Does a change need to be made, and where should it start at? But personally, I think, it might be time to get a new coach.
Well, there's one voice on it, and the thing about it is sometimes it can work, and other times it doesn't necessarily work.
Yeah.
I think that the Packers continue to do well and win after they moved on from Mike McCarthy to Matt LaFleur. So again, I don't think that turned out to be a failure. But sometimes when you're doing well and you want to take that next step, and you make a change, sometimes you go the other direction. I think the Wisconsin football team would be an example of that. They fired Paul Chryst because they wanted to go further. They wanted to challenge for national championships. They felt like they had plateaued and maybe they're going in the wrong direction. They got off to a poor start a few years back, and they fired him early in the season. But since then, they have not been the same Badger football program. In fact, instead of going closer to a national championship, they've faded away the last few years. So it's not automatic that you change from a successful coach. And I mean, whether or not you think that the Packers should have gone deeper in the playoffs in the last few years or not, the win percentage is there for Matt LaFleur. So again, it's balancing that out. And also, is there somebody that Ed Policy sees that would be an improvement? Somebody that he thinks, hey, this guy has the tools to be a Super Bowl winning coach. And then if you see that person, then maybe you do pull the trigger on that. And also, it's not just Matt LaFleur. Do you go with the general manager, and do you sweep completely clean, bring in a new general manager who's then going to look for a coach that he can work with, or do you allow Brian Gutekunst to get a contract extension, say that he's going to be here for the next number of years, the foreseeable future, and allow him to be one of the main voices in hiring a new coach as well? So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways the Packers could go in this situation. You could have a new coach. You could have a new coach and a new general manager. You could have the same coach and general manager coming up in the next year as well. But it's just the way that they lost it. I think if they would have lost in so many different ways, it would not have been as focused right now, because there would have been great disappointment if you lose in any way. But when you just have a complete meltdown again to the same team you had a meltdown just a few weeks ago, when you went to Chicago, it looked like the Packers were in position to perhaps get the divisional title and be able to have a home playoff game instead of being on the road. Right. And now all of a sudden they lost that game. You end up being a number 7 seed. You lose the last 4 games of the regular season. You lose the last 5 games overall. Things seem to be coming off the tracks just a little bit after that meltdown on Saturday.
Yeah, I think if it was definitely a repetition of the tale of two halves. It would have been nice if the Packers were doing terrible in the first half and made a nice comeback the second half, but unfortunately that's not what happened. And they definitely have some tough thinking ahead when it comes to the future of the team.
And also, do you bring back Brandon McManus, because the field goal kicking did not help the Packers at all. When you miss 3 kicks like that in this era of the NFL.
That was hard to watch. And the first time I thought it was just an accident, but then the second 2 times, and the other times he missed, it's like, oh my gosh.
So yeah, those kicks were very, very important in terms of the ultimate outcome of that game. So again, I think today we may find out something, one way or the other. I think that today will be a rather significant day in the history of the Green Bay Packers. So.
And we find out anything, we'll try to tell you on tomorrow's morning show.
And I'm sure that throughout the course of the day, keep it on 98.9 WXCO, because
I'm sure
it will be talked about big time no matter what a decision is made.
Yeah, absolutely.
Time for a break, an information update. We will have a news update from Isabella Nieto coming up, and then we'll be back with more here on this Monday morning. Again, a very pleasant start here in north central Wisconsin. Some blue skies, a little bit of sunshine, and 22 degrees is the temperature. I am Chad Holmes. He is Ian Welsh. It is the Chad Holmes Show. Live online, WXCO.FM and the Civic Media app, Sports 2 stream, and on YouTube.com and the 98.9 WXCO channel.
Where do we go from here? It seems so unfamiliar.
For WXCO News, I'm Isabella Nieto. Marathon County is asking the state for funds to attract out-of-state talent to the area. The county is in the running for funding through the Talent Recruitment Grant Program. The program is aimed at supporting local efforts to attract and incentivize out-of-state talent to relocate to Wisconsin municipalities. Renee Krings is Senior Director with the Greater Wausau Prosperity Partnership. She gave a presentation to the County Extension, Education, and Economic Development Committee last week.
The grant period opened this week, in fact on Monday, January 5th, and closes on January 30th. So you can see that it's a very tight window, and we do anticipate a highly competitive application process.
The Prosperity Partnership has already submitted an application for the grant on behalf of Marathon County.
We've designed the program to include aspects focused on keeping people here and integrating them deeply into our local communities. We want to support these individuals to grow roots and make lasting connections.
This year is the first for the Talent Recruitment Grant Program. A total of $5 million in funding is available statewide, with a $500,000 cap on the amount any single municipality can receive. Applicants have to provide matching funds equal to at least 20% of the total project cost through cash, local investment, and in-kind donations. Krings said their plan is to seek support from local foundations and community partners to provide the matching funds.
The incentives are designed to help an individual relocate here.
The committee voted to recommend the county board ask County Administrator Lance Leonard to write a letter of support for the application. I'm Isabella Nieto for WXCO News.
We are the NFHS. That stands for the National Federation of State High School Associations. But really, what we stand for, together with the WIAA, are the 178,000 high school sports students in Wisconsin. And so we stand. We stand for the runners, soccer and basketball players. We stand for their coaches, administrators, and officials. We stand for the swimmers, football players, and wrestlers. We stand for the golfers, softball, and volleyball players. We stand as the national leader and advocate for high school athletics and all who participate in them and make them possible. Because it is our purpose to ensure that high school students get to play, perform, and compete together. To learn more about who we are and what we stand for, visit nfhs.org.
Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. I just don't know what to feel. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what to feel. Everything I thought that I knew starts to look so unreal. There's a ringing in my head that keeps me awake at night. Sometimes I don't know what is right.
Sometimes I don't know how to feel. And that is definitely the case a lot in this era of Trumpism in the United States of America. Chad Holmes Show, 98.9 WXCO, here in hour number 2 every weekday. We are online exclusively. You can catch us on YouTube, youtube.com, and the 98.9 WXCO channel. You can also catch us on WXCO.FM and also on the Civic Media app, Sports Stream 2. And, of course, you can catch the entirety of our show as a podcast when all is said and done just after 10 o'clock. With Ian Walsh, I am Chad Holmes, and I want to talk a little bit more about what's been going on. We've seen protests. We've seen a lot more talk about what happened in Minneapolis. And the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, was asked a very simple question concerning the killing. He was on Air Force One yesterday. And again, Trump, I just shake my head. But the question was,
Okay.
do you believe that deadly force was necessary? Straight ahead. And this is what Donald Trump said
Oh, boy.
in response.
Brace yourselves, people.
Quote, "It was highly disrespectful of law enforcement. The woman and her friend were highly disrespectful of law enforcement. Law enforcement should not be in a position where they have to put up with this stuff," end quote. What?
Jeez.
So, if you're disrespectful in Donald Trump's mind towards law enforcement, they can shoot you 3 times and kill you. The man is out of his mind.
That's the definition of a dictatorship.
That if you come around law enforcement and in any way are disrespectful, they can shoot you. And also, we've seen over the weekend and even right in the aftermath that we had Renee Nicole Good killed, first of all, which is horrific in itself.
Absolutely.
But now her friends, her family, have to not only cope with that, they have to cope with the fact that at the highest levels of the United States government and the people that carry water, and I mean the media folks, like the folks down the street here in Wausau, they've basically started a campaign designed to justify her killing. And that's what they're doing. They're going around trying to justify this killing when the video shows it. And again, thankfully we have the video, because how many times have we heard the stories of minorities being shot in the back? And
too many to count.
I know. And if you don't have the video, it's he said, she said, or he said, or whatever it may be. She said, he said. Here we had a video of what happened. And I go back to what I said in the first hour concerning the commentary of the morning show host over on the station down the road.
Yeah.
On the right-wing talker that has a lot of people listening every morning. And I doff my cap, and I do that right here. Doffing my cap. Congratulations. You guys got quite a few people listening. You have, and I've said this before, it's based on what I have here, that there's a responsibility when you have a program, when you have a microphone, when you have the opportunity to speak to quite a few people. It is a responsibility. To come on and just lie is not, I think it's disgusting, to be honest with you. I don't know how you look at yourself in the mirror if you got on and just started telling bold untruths.
Yeah.
And whether or not he believes what he's saying or not, I'm not willing to say it's a lie or not a lie. I don't know. But I just do know that when the MAGA group says this, we see media folks such as the person down the street say, how high should I jump? And again, he talks about context. You have a person in a vehicle that was not trying to run over an ICE agent, no matter how many times Donald Trump or other people say so. Because right after the news started to circulate about this shooting, a Department of Homeland Security spokesperson named Tricia McLaughlin said in a statement on X, that says a lot right there,
Yeah,
that, quote, rioters began blocking ICE officers, and one of these violent rioters weaponized her vehicle, attempting to run over our law enforcement officers in an attempt to kill them. An act of domestic terrorism, end quote.
Absolutely outrageous.
Nothing that we saw in that video showed that.
No.
Nothing. But again, this is what's scary about this administration.
Yeah.
Is they are so willing to lie about what happened until the video actually came out and said, this is what happened. But they were willing to say, basically, you take that statement, you picture it in your mind of what they say happened, and then compare it to what actually did happen. Completely different. Completely different. Because that is not what happened in this circumstance.
This administration will do anything to fabricate a story just to make themselves look good.
Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and White House advisor Stephen Miller described the incident as, quote, domestic terrorism, end quote. No. President Donald Trump posted on his social network that Good, quote, ran over the ICE officer. No, it did not happen that way.
The ICE officer wasn't injured in any way.
Bottom line is videos of the incident, both taken by bystanders at the time and by the officer himself, show almost every element of those statements are false. There were no riots at the scene. There were no rioters, despite what the commentary of our colleague down the road said in his context. And again, a few of the things that he said in terms of context, that he said that she was part of a group of protesters who were using their vehicles to try and block an ICE raid. Again, for argument's sake, let's say that they were blocking an ICE raid. That does not lead to shootings. Because let's go back to one of MAGA's favorite talking points recently, the January 6th riots at the Capitol, where they say basically, no, there's nothing happening there. Could you, okay, and the thing is, you could imagine, but we've seen the video of what happened on January the 6th. We've seen the people breaking windows and blasting their way in there. Those officers, based on what our friends down the road here are saying and what the MAGA administration is saying, those officers would have been well within their rights to start shooting and to have a complete bloodbath in the United States Capitol. It's the same thing that when you hear about policies involving high-speed chases and hostage situations. It isn't a case where you blast right away. You try to not kill anybody in these circumstances, especially innocent people. So if, what this gentleman in his commentary from the right-wing radio station down the road says, that Good was part of a group of protesters who were using their vehicles to try and block an ICE raid, so what? You don't shoot them because you're being blocked by a vehicle. He says that the governor of Minnesota said she was out in the streets protecting her neighbors. He calls that a lie. It was not a lie.
No.
The idea that there are people, not just in Minneapolis, but around the country, that are trying to protect their neighbors from these ICE masked officers.
And he thinks that's just...
It's completely wrong. That
it's ridiculous.
You should just stand back and let these masked ICE agents do whatever they want, even if you disagree 100%, and these are your neighbors that you care about and want to protect. According to him, nope. You just have to lay back and enjoy it because that's what because Donald Trump and ICE think that this is what they need to do.
He's basically saying if it doesn't involve you, it's not your problem.
He said in this commentary, and again, it is not true, that her car sped forward towards an agent. It did not speed forward towards an agent. That is
Watch the video.
Completely false.
Watch the video,
he says that's why he was able to draw his service weapon, fire 3 shots, and said one of which killed her.
And he said certain words which cannot be repeated on air.
He says using vehicles to block, encircle, or ram ICE agents is a regularity when protesters try to disrupt enforcement operations. He thinks that is enough to go around shooting people and killing them. He doesn't think that we should be able... He doesn't think that protesting is viable in the United States of America under Donald J. Trump in 2026. It makes me angry, to be honest with you. It makes me very upset because this is a woman who dropped off her 6-year-old child to school just before this happened. And there is no context about that. He does not mention, and I think this is important in terms of context, The 2 words that this officer said immediately after killing this woman.
And we can't even say
And
those
I can't
words.
say them on the air, but I'm sure many of you out there know exactly what those words were. It started with an F, ended with an ING, and then it talked about, and then said a term for a female dog. He killed this woman, and those were the first 2 words out of his mouth, which is disgusting. And then for the right-wing talkers, including here in our community, to not put that as part of the context is intentional as well.
Shameful.
And again, I would say context matters, that the writer of these words has his own issues when it came to violence against women.
I agree.
But I'm not going to go any further than that, because I do think that would add a little context as well to the words being spoken by this gentleman in his commentary right after the death that occurred. So
This
again,
cannot just be like, something that's talked about for a few days and just forgotten. This needs to be continuously talked about, and there needs to be appropriate action. That officer needs to be fired and arrested. I don't care if he works for the president. I don't care if he's protecting America. That man is a disgrace to the uniform.
and that uniform has to stop being masked. These masked people running around our communities need to stop. And also yesterday, Kristi Noem, when asked by Jake Tapper on CNN, was asked about those 2 words. I give Tapper credit. He asked Kristi Noem, did the officer say those 2 words after killing?
What did she say?
And she smirked. She had a smirk on her face and said, basically, yeah, in all likelihood, it was him that said those words. And she smirked to the camera as she said that.
She wasn't
it was
denying
disgusting.
it?
No, because she knows that he said that. But she smirked. And this was a woman who's
Disgraceful.
just should not be somebody that is in charge of our homeland security. So again, I just think that if you want context, let's give context, not just the context that Donald Trump spoon feeds you every single day. All right, we got to take one more quick time out and then come back and wrap things up. We'll have our number for the day quiz with Ian Welsh coming up as well. It is the Chad Holmes Show here on 98.9 WXCO.
In the outskirts and in the fringes, in the corner, out of the grid. If you want me, you can find me left of center, off of the strip.
I'm Chad Holmes, join former Wausau West head hockey coach B.J. Brandt and myself every Wednesday night from 6 till 8 p.m. for the Big High School Sports Show on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO on the Civic Media app, and also broadcasting live on the 98.9 WXCO YouTube channel. Each week we'll be talking high school winter sports. We'll review and preview the basketball and hockey action with both the boys and the girls, and each week we'll also be joined by an area head coach and a student athlete guest as well. It's the Big High School Sports Show every Wednesday night from 6 till 8 p.m. on Central Wisconsin's radio home for high school sports, 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO on the Civic Media app, and broadcasting live on YouTube.com and the 98.9 WXCO channel.
We are the NFHS. That stands for the National Federation of State High School Associations. But really, what we stand for, together with the WIAA, are the 178,000 high school sports students in Wisconsin. And so we stand. We stand for the runners, soccer and basketball players. We stand for their coaches, administrators, and officials. We stand for the swimmers, football players, and wrestlers. We stand for the golfers, softball and volleyball players. We stand as the national leader and advocate for high school athletics and all who participate in them and make them possible. Because it is our purpose to ensure that high school students get to play, perform, and compete together. To learn more about who we are and what we stand for, visit nfhs.org.
Chad Home Show on the YouTube channel of 98.9 WXCO, WXCO.FM, and the Civic Media app, Sports 2 stream here in hour number 2. Don't forget, tomorrow morning in the second hour, we will be joined by Pat Kreitlow, former morning show host here on WXCO and from upnorthnews.com. So we'll talk about what's going on with Pat Kreitlow, get his thoughts on the news, and see what he's up to now that he has moved forward in his broadcast career. So that's coming up in hour number 2 tomorrow. But let's look at some of the famous events that have occurred on this date in history. The 12th day of January of 2026, day number 12 of this year. There are 353 days remaining in 2026. On this date in 1876, 150 years ago, novelist Jack London, author of The Call of the Wild and White Fang, was born in San Francisco. Very popular author and the very popular books. On this date in 1916, P.W. Botha, Prime Minister and President of South Africa, was born. He was one of the final leaders in apartheid South Africa. On this date in 1966, 60 years ago today, the live-action TV series Batman premiered on ABC. It was a huge hit. It starred Adam West as the Cape Crusader and Burt Ward as Robin the Boy Wonder. So
You can still watch reruns of that show on MeTV.
Yep, on Saturday nights. What a great show.
Classic TV.
On this date in 1969, quarterback Joe Namath, having guaranteed victory, led the New York Jets to a 16-7 win over the favored Baltimore Colts in Super Bowl III, one of the biggest games in pro football history. On this date in 1971, the groundbreaking television series All in the Family debuted on CBS and quickly became known for its frank and satirical treatment of sensitive or important topics. Carol O'Connor played Archie Bunker, Gene Stapleton played Edith, Sally Struthers was daughter Gloria, and of course, the late great Rob Reiner played the meathead Rob Stivic. I should say Michael Stivic. And on this date in 2010, a magnitude 7.0 earthquake devastated Haiti, killing more than 300,000 people according to the country's official count, and creating a prolonged humanitarian disaster. All right, well, let's wrap things up with our number for the day quiz.
Yep.
Each and every weekday, we finish off our program by giving Ian an opportunity to take a quiz. We give him 3 choices. Based on the math, he should get 1 out of 3 right, which is 33%. So that means anything above 33% for the week is a passing grade. However, we want better than that. If he gets more right than wrong, then it's a winning week. If he gets 4 out of 5 right, just 1 wrong, it's an A grade. And then, of course, you get that gold star for a perfect week if he gets all 5 correct. How many times have you done it perfectly? Was it once or twice?
Oh,
I can't remember.
Just once.
Just
Actually, I did a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, so just one time he's been perfect. So, but he's been perfect the other way too. He's missed all 5 too.
Yeah.
Which is easier to do because
an imperfect week.
Yeah. All right. It's again something that happened on this date in history.
Okay.
On January the 12th of what year did Hattie Ophelia Caraway become the first woman elected to the United States Senate? She actually got her seat in Virginia when her husband, who was a senator, passed away. But then in a special election, she was a winner and then went on to win another election before losing in her 3rd election. But what year did
Okay.
Hattie Ophelia Caraway become the first woman elected to the U.S. Senate? Your
what am I-
choices are
Okay.
1902, 1932, 1962.
1902, 1932, or 1962. Okay.
Try to put it together in terms of how long women have had the vote, how long we've had that opportunity. But
Okay. 1902, 1932, or 1962.
Yep.
Okay.
so plenty of wideness in the choices.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go with a final answer. I'm going to say 1962. A final answer. I'm going with a 1962.
Hattie Ophelia Caraway became the first woman elected to the United States Senate in 1932.
Oh, the middle number.
Yep, 1932. So 0 for 1 so far this week.
Oh, it's okay. It's still early. I still got a chance.
We'll try again tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And don't forget, join us in the second hour tomorrow when we have Pat Kreitlow with us. We'll look forward to that. Ian, have yourself a great rest of your day.
You too, Chid. Happy Monday, everybody.
And also, everyone, don't forget that tonight, 7 o'clock, on 98.9 WXCO and online, Newman Catholic High School girls basketball as the Cardinals take on the number 1 ranked team in the state in Division 4, Menasha St. Mary Catholic. So again, hope you can join us for that one. 7 p.m. airtime, 7:15 tip, 98.9 WXCO, WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO. Keep it right here. Actually, or turn on your radio again, and it will be Greg Bach on 98.9 WXCO, and we'll see you tomorrow.